Well, friends, it is a long time coming, but it has come to pass. President Trump is President Trump once more, and that is in all sorts of different meanings. He is back in the White House, and he is already signing executive orders. But what does that mean next? And we're going to be talking about how this is going to impact the stock market. We're going to talk about trade deals. We're going to talk about tariffs, all that kind of stuff, particularly what we know right now and what's going to happen next. We got some insider information on this. We got what China is saying, and I'm also going to give you a little bit of an update on what's going on with me over here in India. All right, friends, let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are the things that mainstream media isn't covering or is always just slanting everything in such a negative Nancy kind of way. Anyway, so we got Donald Trump in the White House. He's expected to sign at least 25 executive orders today. That's at least what his chief of staff said. But we're also thinking that it might actually be more than that. How many is he going to be able to sign in one day? I don't know. But supposedly, he's already previewed 100 executive orders with the Senate Republicans. And word on the street is that he has 200 ready to go. So, apart from renaming Mount McKinley back to Mount McKinley, that President Obama back in the day decided that he didn't like the name McKinley because it was too white, and so renamed it Mount Denali, which, I mean, so an executive order can just change that right back, which is what Donald Trump's doing. Gulf of Mexico over to the Gulf of America. Basically, this is just determining what the U.S. federal government calls these bodies of water or land masses. He can do all that kind of stuff. But the things that are going to really impact Americans is trade deals, tariffs. Tariffs are the big one that the stock market's kind of watching for right now. Word kind of came out that the Trump administration is not looking to initiate tariffs immediately. So not going to initiate tariffs today or tomorrow kind of thing. That they're going to look at these things going forward, but they're not going to just go ahead and do them. So that has already impacted things dramatically out there. We have the U.S. dollar has started to crash. So people were expecting tariffs to go into place, and that was going to affect the U.S. dollar. But the opposite is happening. So instead of strengthening the U.S. dollar, this is going to weaken the U.S. dollar, and it is already. That means stock market's kind of going up just because the dollar is going down. As the dollar goes down, that's kind of how that works. So we have this happening. This is going to impact the markets pretty big. But is it a temporary kind of reprieve? The idea that because there's not going to be any tariffs immediately, that's really great for the stock market or something. But these tariffs are coming. The tariffs are coming. Not only the tariffs, but we have these punitive measures that he's looking at bringing against certain countries. He's going to drive a really hard bargain with a lot of countries. And that is going to make doing trade with other countries a lot more difficult. So if you're a manufacturer inside the United States and you need to import parts for your machinery from other countries, this is going to make it more difficult to get that stuff that you need. This is definitely going to impact companies on the main street, factories, also retailers for sure, and it's going to impact consumers. When we start seeing these tariffs take place, when we start seeing these import restrictions taking place, and mark my words, that's going to happen. We're also going to see that hopefully trade deals get made. Hopefully other countries will realize that going tit for tat with the United States is not in their best interest, and so they should stop treating Americans so unfairly. And that's really what Trump's been saying all along, is that these trade deals, if other countries are treating us horribly, we should do it right back to them. Not out of like some sort of like, well, you hurt us, we hurt you, but rather just like it needs to be a fair, level playing field. We can't have Europe having all sorts of tariffs on the United States goods and no tariffs on those European goods coming into the United States. That's just not fair. We can't have the Europeans blocking the import of US cars and then allow all those European cars into the United States. That doesn't make any sense. And so we really need to have more of a fair playing field, but that means a trade war is going to happen. And trade war with Europe, trade war with Canada, trade war with Mexico, trade war with China. We got all these trade wars about to pop off, and it's going to impact everyone's bottom line. Businesses, consumers, everyone. And people are just not prepared for this. People just kind of assume that everything's going to go peachy forever, and that's not the case. We're going to see a lot of impacts out there over the coming days. All right. Just to kind of give you an idea of how serious these tariffs are going to be, all you have to do is look at what these corporations, what these big companies are doing. Don't listen to what they have to say, listen to what they're doing. We see places like Walmart, we see manufacturers, retail, manufacturers, other companies have been stockpiling stuff from China, any kind of parts, materials, raw goods that they need from overseas. They've been stockpiling this stuff like nobody's business, like squirrels stacking up their acorns. They've been preparing for this. You could almost say they've been prepping for this. You know what I mean? You don't think about these companies as being preppers, but that's exactly what they're doing. They're stocking up while things are cheap, while things are available for the days ahead where they're going to be expensive or unavailable. Gee, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Sounds like what we advocate on this channel, that you take the good times, even though they seem to be less and less good, to prepare for the bad times ahead. Prepare yourself, prepare your family. If you own a business, prepare your business. If you're in charge of making business decisions for your corporation, well, probably a good idea to do what the big dogs are doing right now, which is using every available moment left to grab as much stuff as you can at low cost and warehouse it up. Because we've seen a lot of these companies are realizing that it's cheaper to warehouse stuff than to face a tariff on this stuff. So when you're talking about a 10% tariff, 15% tariff, 20% tariff on these goods coming from China, it's cheaper to warehouse that stuff for a number of months than it is to pay the higher tariff a couple months out. So companies are trying to get ahead of this, and this has caused a lot of orders to come in this fall. But there's a big problem right there. A lot of the orders, a lot of the purchases that we've been seeing have been fake purchases. Not fake as in like they don't exist or that they're fraudulent of some sort, but rather they're purchases for this coming year that they just moved forward. And what happens now is all those orders are going to dry up. Not only are all the extra orders going to dry up, but all the regular orders are going to dry up too. These importers, particularly the Chinese market, the Chinese economy, is going to take a massive, massive hit. I've already told you that the issues over in the Chinese economy are going to ripple out throughout the world and throughout the U.S. and world banking systems. People have no idea how heavily invested American retirement accounts. Why does Steve keep talking about moving your retirements over to gold, silver, platinum? Because so many of you who have your IRA, 401k, these things on autopilot. If you're in like Vanguard or if you're in some other Schwab or someone else where you have these index funds and you're like, oh, developing world index fund. What you don't realize is a lot of these developing world index funds are 80, 90% Chinese stocks, Chinese bonds, sorry. A lot of these investments that you see out there that they kind of don't really want to talk about what they are, a lot of them are Chinese investments. These very same Chinese investments are actually a really bad move right about now. And I've done taxes for enough people to know that a lot of people have their IRAs, 401ks, retirement accounts, even their brokerage accounts in these abominations that are created by these companies, and they're stuffed to the gills with Chinese stocks, Chinese bonds. And people don't realize that that's what's happening. And they don't realize how risky of a bet these things are. They've been told, oh, it's diversified and it's safe and everything like that. I'm sorry, but when you have 70 or 80% of a portfolio invested in one country, a unstable country at that, that's not diversified. That's just a lie. And so I plead with you, whether you want to go into Genesis Gold or whether you even want to go into gold, silver, platinum, or anything like that, just realize and question what your retirement accounts are in. If you have brokerage account there too, make sure that you understand what you're invested in, because a lot of you guys don't know what you're in. And that's very concerning to me, because I've seen these companies, they like making these composite, ETFs or funds that they have cobbled together out of garbage. And then they look at you and say it's diversified. This is the same kind of stuff that was happening in 2008 with mortgage securities, mortgage-backed securities, and everyone was like, oh, it's great, it's diversified. No, it was garbage. That's what it was. And now they're doing the same thing with auto loans. So if you're invested in bonds, do you know what you're actually invested in? And then when it talks about, developing world or international, a lot of this is investments in China. That's all going to get impacted dramatically by tariffs and the whole way the world economy is going right now, and the Chinese economy right now too. So be aware of what you're doing with all that kind of stuff. I can't say enough about, please just know what you're invested in. If you've put your life savings into something, make sure you understand it, right? If your retirement portfolio manager won't explain stuff to you, won't break it down for you, won't educate you in what you're actually invested in, that's a really bad sign. They are literally just taking your money, and if they're not even educating you about what they're doing with it, they're just scamming you, basically. Anyway, so a lot of impacts out there. We got these big corporations. They're taking steps to protect themselves. We need to be taking steps to protect ourselves. If they're stocking up on Chinese goods while they're cheap, you might want to think about doing the same thing too. If it's imported from China and you may need it in, say, I don't know, the next couple years, you might want to buy it right now. Why? Because it's going to be cheaper now, then it's going to be cheaper, then it's going to be later, right? It's going to be more expensive later because of inflation, and then also it's also going to be a lot more expensive due to the tariffs. So, best to get stocked up now on cheap stuff that you're going to need anyway. If you use disposable cups, if you use disposable plates, if you use things in your kitchen like spatulas and all that kind of stuff like that, all that stuff's going to need to be replaced at some point. Towels, all this stuff. Grab those things now if you have some spare dollars. If you don't have any spare dollars, then do what you can to make those things last longer, right? But be prepared to go without new items in these categories or you're going to have to pay a pretty hefty premium. I, for one, am glad that Donald Trump is back in office because he's certainly better than the alternative. Hopefully things will be better these next 4 years, but I am worried that the deep state has dug in like a tick, and you ain't going to pull it out and pull its head out too. Its head's going to stay in there, get infected, and it's going to cause all sorts of problems. The deep state is not going to give up without a fight, and they're just about ready to start fighting. And one of the things I think they're going to do is crash the U.S. stock market. There's a saying in the stock markets out there that buy the rumor, sell. I can't remember it right now. Buy the rumor, sell the fact, essentially. So when it actually happens, expect the opposite move. So if this is something that's going to happen, you think, that's going to be good for the market, when everyone's speculating about it, the price goes up. And so when it actually happens, it's already gone too far. And so now people are disappointed, or they're going to sell out of the trade. They've been buying in to prepare for the trade, and now they want to take their profits, and so they're going to sell. And so you see oftentimes in the market, when something good happens, the market actually goes down because the market anticipated this happening, so much so, in fact, too much so, that when it actually happens, it actually goes the opposite direction. And I believe that Trump is like the biggest version of this. The stock market's been expected to go up because of Trump, and it's been so telegraphed for so long. Everyone knows he's going to be president for the last couple of months, and now that he's president, I expect the market to go down, and I expect the leftists and globalists to put their thumb right on that scale and make it even worse. So I'm kind of bracing for a stock market crash, or at least a very sharp stock market downturn in the next couple weeks. So that's my thoughts on it. I think that they're thinking that this is going to put egg all over his face, make him look bad, and they're all going to go, ha ha, we told you he's going to be bad for things. You said he's a businessman and he's going to be great for the economy, and look, he's actually bad. That's what they're going to say, and it's stupid, but he's already made the stock market go up quite a bit since Election Day. So some of those winnings, in this case, I think winnings is more accurate of a term. If you're playing the stock market like that, I expect them to come down significantly. I don't imagine it'll give up all of those gains, but it'll give up a sizable portion of them, which means the stock market could drop by a fair bit, enough to kind of freak some people out. And once the stock market starts going down, people start asking the question, is it fairly valued? And the answer to that is a resounding no. It is way overvalued. And anyone who tells you differently is just, smoking something with the hunter out there. I mean, it's just, the valuations on the stock market are absurd. And they're projecting peace and prosperity for the next 50 years. If that happens, then I guess the valuations aren't so terrible, but they still kind of are. Anyway, that's my take on things, on what happens with the stock market, what happens next with the trade wars, and we got a lot of information to come out for you tomorrow, but I'm doing well here. I am just about to pass out because while this is the afternoon for you, it is the evening for me here in India, late evening, and I am super, super tired from a long day training pastors and ministry leaders up in the village. Fantastic stuff. Just seeing their eyes light up as they're getting kind of what we're teaching and training, which is really a small group Bible study methodology where pastors and leaders all sit together and they discuss the Bible, have interactive questions and interactive discussions. Fantastic to see. It's amazing how they've never seen anything like this before and how it's really just opened up a lot of opportunities for them. All right, friends, thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.